Hey guys, how you doing? After watching Lee Ralph's amazing videos that he's been recently posting on YouTube, he did mention in his X-Wing video that apparently I've got this paint video in the works, which I haven't really, but I've decided to do a quick video just to show some techniques to get the ILM look to the X-Wings. Here is a studio scale Captain Cardboard X-Wing, and I've already put the markings on already. Yes, it is red 5, even though there's 4 markings. For some reason ILM sprayed over the 5th marking with a grey panel there. I suppose they were trying to match the base colour, and it came out grey. For perhaps they were doing that for pickup shots, or trying to quickly get a scene with red 4 in. Not sure. I have no idea why they did that, but it's another quirky little thing that's typical for the ILM modelers to do that sort of thing. I'm using the reference pictures that are on the Modeller's Magic website, Kurt Kern's website, and all that's left of red 5 now is just the wings and the metal armature and the wires and the motors and that to open and close it. The body has long gone, so those ref pictures are hard to get, but what we do have are some nice images on that website that show how the X-Wing wings look in today's state. They're further weathered just naturally by being scuffed about and left on a shelf and picked up and put down and that sort of thing. But I'm going to try and replicate that as well. I like that look. I like taking it further than the screen used look. I like to replicate the imperfections and the dirt and grime that have been picked up from the model actually being in storage. So I think first of all I'm going to topically try and replicate the scratches here and here, and there's some down here that would be black, that would have been the undercoat or the black plastic that the wings were made out of, and that's been scuffed right down. And for that I'm just going to be using some Archive X Engine Black. There's no rocket science to this. It literally is just putting it on a fine brush and just dabbing it on in the areas that show the black markings. It won't be perfect, but I'm literally just going to try and copy what I can see on screen. And there's also some close-up sort of blobs that look like they've been topically applied with a brush. Now these look very dark because I'm just literally using black, but they will be airbrushed over to soften them out so they don't jump out at you. And to be honest, I should have used perhaps a dark grey instead, but hey ho. There's some scratches at the bottom as well that I can see, just over the last marking. And there's also some down here. I could even get a blade to that come the finish and try and make that look more scratched, because I can actually see that there's white around the edges of the black that look like it's been scuffed. And then all along the top there is black scratches from where, again, it's been knocked about in storage. But I'd like to replicate that. So I'm just going to put some tape so I don't go too far along the edge. Sorry, it's difficult to do this with a camera underneath my nose. And you can either use a brush and just simply do that all the way along, or you can dab a sponge into the black, but work that black out. So make sure there's not too much weight to, there's not too much paint on the sponge, and then simply just go along the tape, and that goes right up to the edge. And hopefully when you remove the masking tape, that'll show the wear we're after. And there's also some more of that around this area, but I'll go in with a different colour. That looks to be like a brown, so I could use earth for that. This has been a great colour and a lovely shade to use over the model. Very light passes with the airbrush, gives it a lovely misted look and tone that ties it all together. So I'm just going to mix some of that up. And again, using a sponge. This isn't something that ILM would do because I'm replicating the dirt and grime that's accumulated over the years. So this is just to give it that false sort of look of dirt. I can just see there's some just specks of dust and dirt around here, and some down here. And some right here. There's also some black markings, black rectangles up here that need to be brushed on. I'll use a dark lark grey for that. This isn't going to be the most perfect paint job because I'm doing it for the camera, so excuse the hurriedness of it and the rush and the paint job. And I apologise you're having to watch me mask the model, which is the most boring thing ever. So I'll quickly just get the compressor going. First marking, and then there's another. I'll just give that a quick blast with a hairdryer. And there's another one just to the right of that. Again, not super accurate. I'm just literally just getting these markings in there, just roughly. It doesn't really matter how spot on you are with this for this video. Okay, then there is some streaking that I can see going down the model, so I'll try and replicate that now with SB Lark Dark. So I've got the needle showing there, so the tip of that airbrush, excuse the state of the airbrush, I haven't cleaned it out properly, but I've taken the tip off, to give it a fine spray, and I've thinned the paint down as well. So I'm just going to try and just get these rough blast marks. And there's some in the corners there. And around here where I mentioned these black hand-done parts. Really, that black should have been applied last because it is done by wear and tear rather than a paint application. And then I'm just gonna do a bit of splattering, which is just a click, 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 click like that. And that'll. I know it's dark. You'll be very careful with that. And next, I'll be adding the earth, I think. So here we have the earth. And I've just put a little bit in the bottom here, and I will be using off-the-shelf cheap painter decorators white spirit to mix that. It cuts it beautifully and cleans the airbrush out as well. There's no need for expensive thinners for this enamel Archive X paint. Give that a little mix up. I'm cutting this about 50-50 and shooting it at quite a high pressure, 15 to 20 psi, maybe a little bit more than that. I always like to spray my models with some high air pressure. So again, there's some sort of brownish streaking going on over here. You've got to be very careful to the touch because it is quite a prominent colour. And now I'm just going to go around, just dirty up general areas with this. You'll lose the stark orangeness of this when you go back over with it, like a darker grey, like a reefer grey dark. But again, we don't know if this is literally just dirt and grime and tobacco smoke over the years, or if it was put on intentionally. Now, because of the angle I'm firing this airbrush at, we're getting white spots at the back, so this will need to be turned round and sprayed the other way. So I'm just going to turn that around, excuse me. Now I'm just literally spattering it at the lightest touch, just getting this mist and splatter to appear. Now I'll go back round again. Now after this I'm going to go in with a reefer grade dark now. Okay, so I'm going to go in with some reefer grade dark now, but I can notice there's some very minute sort of spattering and like a misted sort of area, but so I've got more control. I'm just going to go back in with the sponge again and just try and replicate these little bits. See, these have got, that's gone on too heavy, but I can get a cotton bud and straight away just roll over the top of that. And it leaves a very faint, subtle grey. And again, that can be misted over. There's all little tricks like that you can use by hand. All down here, that's very grey. Again, this isn't something ILM would have done. This is literally a cheat to get that effect. But now I'll go back on with the airbrush and darken down those areas. Go over some of that brown and just build it all up in layers. It's all in the layers. And you're looking at this under extreme harsh lighting, so it does look a bit rough and ready. But when you take it back and look at it in person, it does look much better. Now, there isn't any splodges around here that I like to use, but I'll just do one just over here where I can't really it doesn't matter if I mess it up. So you put the needles almost touching the model, and you crank the pressure up and just slowly bring back the trigger, and then you can feather it out with the air. You'll find these all over ILM models, and also they create like a wash, not a traditional wash in the sense of getting a paintbrush and some thin down paint and slopping it on. It's like a wash that's used with the paint that's thin in the airbrush, and you can spray at the edge of a panel or a panel line, and then push it around and create washes with the airbrush itself. And you can get crazy patterns and just general weathering techniques, and you get those effects. And they're just fun to do in little areas. Again, it's tricky to keep this exactly accurate, because how are you going to define a splodge and keep it exact to how ILM models were? But you can have a play with it and get it looking right, and then just feather over the top of it, just make it look not so harsh. And then I can notice on the ref where this grey panel is here. Above it, there is like a misting line, which is knocking the red back a little bit. So back and forth, just going over that will create that muted look, and it will reduce the starkness of that red. Under here, I can notice there's some little splodges. You can pull them back and create a streak. And then you can define these other streaks a little bit that are a bit faint. All over the model, I'm just splattering this reefer grey, and I'll turn the model around and go back over it from this direction, so I won't get those white spots. But those white spots are on the ILM models. You can see them, and they're quite apparent. Sorry, excuse the bad position of the camera, but I'm just literally just going to go over those areas again. Okay. So another technique which ILM didn't use that much, I don't think, but it helps my models every now and then get that stained look, and that is literally getting a watered down. It's not even really a wash; it's more like a stain. If I get some of the earth, the same thin down earth I used in the airbrush, and I get some thinner, some normal white spirit again, thinner. I thin it down even more. Sorry, I should be showing you this really. So it is, if you can imagine it being like a tinted sort of thinner. It even needs more thinning, to be honest. But anyway, you get a quite a thick brush, like a number 4, and you would just literally dab it on in these areas, and then take a hairdryer to it, and that will create a pooling tide mark around these dabs and stains. It doesn't matter if it blows it either, because so that has given that a lovely stain, an aging look. It's not a wash in the sense that I slap it all on the details, then take a cotton bud and take it off the raised details and make everything pop. This is to just tie in that weathering. Again, just literally dab it on. It's like tinted thinners. Just dab it on. And then you put the hairdryer again over it. Quite close. And 80% of that will disappear, but it will leave those lovely tide marks. And it's just a nice way of aging your model, really. Again, it's that question whether, did ILM do that? Or did they leave it on the shelf and that's just spilt coffee over it over the years? We don't know. But staining and these localized sort of filter washes things, whatever you want to call them, do give it a nice look. And then you can tap the brush. And again, get these lovely effects. Okay, well, I hope you've learned something from my waffle. It's just practice, really. There's no secret to it. It's just a case of practicing, and just watching the ref, looking at the old pictures that you can get, just trying to figure out the layers, the misting, the splattering, the added sort of pooling effects here. All those will make it look like an ILM model. And using these ArchiveX paints are just fantastic. And paint is paint, really. They're all just different shades of colour. But what Guy has produced here at ArchiveX is easy to use paint that's easy to thin with normal store-bought thinners. It has that lovely muted matte look. It looks vintage. It looks old-fashioned. When you put it on, it looks like your model's 40 years old. And these new acrylics as well. These techniques can be completely crossovered to those acrylics. You can use the same effects. That pooling effect I've just used then, rather than using thinner like white spirit, you just use Guy's own thinner that he's got, or any acrylic sort of thinner would wash that down. The spattering effects, it all works beautifully. So again, thank you for watching, and any questions, just put them on the comments. Thank you.